The Madlanga Commission in Pretoria will today hear testimony from former City of Ekurhuleni Employee Relations Director Xolani Nciza. Nciza is expected to shed light on what has been described as the blue lights investigation. Let's cross to Sakina and reporter Canny Maphanga in Pretoria for an update on this. Ladies, well, Sakina, let me start with you.
Well, thanks, Leanne, and welcome back to the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. And let's pick up on the blue lights investigation and, of course, what we can look forward to in that testimony by the former employee relations manager in the city of Ekurhuleni, Mr. Nciza. Canny, again, this would have been something that came out at the very start, like the blue lights and how they were used, how they were issued. These are the things that we were expecting to hear, unlike some of the other details that perhaps we were not expecting to hear, but we did, and we are now surprised. But of course, the blue lights investigation from the onset would have been central.
Indeed, Sakina, and we've already heard from the EMPD officials that were adversely impacted by their concerns surrounding the blue lights, that is Chief Maphanga and River Spies, about that particular alleged unlawful act, or rather they've put it as something as is unlawful because the blue lights can only be afforded to the police officials, and you cannot outsource your mandate and duties to private security companies or private security firms. So why the evidence of Xolani Nciza is important is because he was the former head of employee relations. So the distinction between him and HR still needs to be stated quite clearly before the commission. But essentially, he would have been there at the time that they received this media query from Jeff Wex, the investigative journalist at News 24, stating that they have these videos, these social media videos of Mama Cat, as she calls herself on those videos, which has been identified as the wife of alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, who owns the Cat VIP Protection Security Services, which were allegedly the beneficiary of these blue lights. And there was a query trying to ascertain how did they get these blue lights fitted and what was the process, etc., because clearly you're dealing with some form of illegality. We know that this was then forwarded to the internal systems within the city of Ekurhuleni, which that is where Nciza and the HR head would have played a critical role. So we need to get an understanding as to, once this information was provided, what was the investigation into the blue lights saga, how was this matter handled, who was disciplined, if any, and if there was an inaction, why was that the case? Because we're already hearing from EMPD officials that there were certain barriers placed up to investigate this to protect Kwanazi, because we're understanding that he allegedly enjoyed support from key figures within the city, including the city manager, or the former city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi. So it's important to understand from Nciza himself as to what were the measures put in place. And we're also hearing evidence from the start yesterday that when they were confronted with this issue, that one of the officials mentioned that, okay, no, we need to be careful now because we're dealing with a very dangerous individual. And at that moment, they were referring to Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. You're hearing them list their concerns about protecting their family. We have families, we have homes, we have children. We need to protect ourselves. So it was very clear there from the evidence there that even from the officials that are supposed to deal with this matter internally, there were concerns and reservations about the possible consequences that could follow if they were making an adverse finding or something that could result in severe consequences for them. So we'll hear in further evidence today, or testimony, as to what were the internal mechanisms that were used, was there any action, if any, and what are the flaws in the system that the Commission needs to look at when making its recommendations with respect to this blue light saga.
And of course, so much more that we are hoping will emerge during today and, of course, subsequent days' evidence, Leanne, because we heard also from Commissioner Spies, not yesterday, I think it was the day before, when he spoke to the issue of the abdication of responsibility, outsourcing of the EMPD functions to private security firms. And speaking of the blue lights, for example, one of the former members of EMPD, who has since emigrated to Australia, reporting that he got to the mayor's house and Commissioner Spies saying he would never outsource the protection of his principal to a private security agency. And yet it happened because the person who has now emigrated to Australia then reported that when he arrived at the mayor's home, he actually found private security vehicles already there waiting to actually escort the mayor. So there's quite a lot that I guess we will still glean. Also in some of those hijacking incidents allegedly implicating members of the Ekurhuleni Police Department. So do stay tuned to the Madlanga Commission, and don't forget SABC Plus on our app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, do yourself a favor, because that's where you can follow all the proceedings here from Canny, and of course what's happening inside the Commission, unfettered access, because we do have pop-up channels for both the Madlanga Commission as well as the ad hoc committee. So don't miss a beat. Back to you, Leanne.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Sakina, because that is very, very important for viewers. You know, when you've got them both going at the same time, both bringing you such interesting content, you know, you have the ability to stream one of them live on that app. So the TV channel will follow one of them, and then you can put the other one on as well. So there's a lot if you download that.